Dear Vice Chancellor Robert Habeck, dear Minister Annalena Baerbock, dear Ricarda Lang, Omid Nuripur, dear Britta Hasselmann, dear Katharina Dröge, liebe Freunde. It's really an honor for me to address you today, and I see how democracy is working. And you know, though I really feel a little bit nervous before speaking before such distinguished crowd, but I know that I'm among friends here. I'm among friends who share the same values and the same vision of democratic, prosperous, and sustainable Europe. And I want to thank the Greens for the invitation to be here with you today. You know, since 2020, when the peaceful revolution in Belarus started, the German Greens were among the first who supported us. And I remember my first meetings with Greens in Bundestag when Claudia Roth gave me a tour around the Riksdag dome. Then we made a photo with portraits of my dear Maria Kolesnikova and other political prisoners. And you know what impressed me most? No, not the dome, though it's very beautiful, but powerful women from German Green Party. I remember how I thought that maybe one day we will have the same in Belarus, when women hold real positions of leadership and not just a facade. Also, I remember speaking at the Greens Congress in 2021, and one delegate approached me and said that during our protest, she put the Belarusian white, red, white flag on her balcony. She said that she was born in GDR, and Belarus reminds her of the German fight for freedom. I remember my meeting Annalena and Robert, and they promised me that Belarus will always be on Greens' agenda, and they kept their word. A few months later, commitment to democratic Belarus was included in the government coalition agreement. And with the help of Greens, the Group for Democratic Belarus was formed in Bundestag. It includes both coalition and opposition parties. And I'm happy to see that Belarus topic unites across political divisions. And we have such groups in 23 parliaments already, and the German one is the biggest. And I remember the enthusiasm of Robin Wagner, who was appointed the Special Representative for Democratic Forces of Belarus. And his first title was for contacts with Belarus opposition. And I argued at that moment that we are not opposition, we won elections. And since then, German Bundestag never called us opposition. Thank you. Robin and 50 others from Green Party became godparents to Belarusian political prisoners. Robin took sponsorship for imprisoned journalist Igor Losik and his wife Daria. Daria Losik was locked up just because she raised her voice against the arrest of her husband. Now the regime threatens to take away their 5-year-old daughter Polina. Britta Hasselman adopted Pavel Kuczynski. Viola von Kremen, Artyom Kosakovsky. Sergei Lagodinsky adopted Maxim Znak, the lawyer who defended Maria Kolesnikova. Maxim was sentenced to 10 years, and in one of his letters he wrote, "If love is worth waiting for, then freedom is worth sitting in prison for." Earlier this year, we lost communication with Maxim Znak. Terry Reintke adopted Volga Zolotar, mother of 5 small children. She was beaten and sentenced to 4 years of prison. What is her crime? She was an independent observer at the elections and recorded that dictator lost. During the protests, with her neighbors, she organized a small protest community, drinking tea and discussing politics. The regime treated her as a dangerous criminal, and her children didn't see their mother for almost 3 years already. My children also didn't see their father since 2020. My husband was sentenced to 19 years in prison. Sometimes we watch his YouTube channel together so they didn't forget his voice and his face. And I haven't received any information about my husband since March this year, only rumors that he is dead. My daughter kept asking me, "Mom, when our daddy is coming home?" She's writing him letters and never receives any response. And there are thousands of children like this in Belarus. My husband Sergei, likewise Maria Kolesnikova, are kept in incommunicado mode. This is another form of torture in Belarus. No letters, no calls, no contacts with lawyers are allowed. A year ago, Maria passed through complicated surgery in prison, and her parents are desperately looking for her whereabouts. And you know, KGB prisons in Belarus are no different from the Stasi's dark cells. We know it from chilling stories of those who already served their terms. And people are broken mentally and physically, and they need medical help and rehabilitation. And I'm eternally grateful to the German MFA and Libereco, which already provided such assistance to hundreds of political prisoners. However, thousands of victims will need such help soon. You know, for Germany, the wall is a piece of history. For Belarusians, this oppression is reality. People are desperately trying to flee this terror and sometimes risking their lives. Germany kindly accepted thousands of Belarusians. However, even in exile, they become targets of repressions. The regime submits their names to Interpol, takes their families at home as hostages. The recent decree of the dictator deprives Belarusian exiles of passports and documents and making them de facto stateless. This is why the adoption of the Bundestag resolution on Belarus, put forward by Greens together with FDP and SPD 2 weeks ago, is so crucial. I hope it will simplify legislation procedures for Belarusians in Germany, but it also sends a very clear message to Belarusians. You are not alone. We are in this fight together. Dear friends, we all hoped that our victory would come faster. Now we realize that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Today it's not just our freedom, but the very existence of our nation is under threat. In exchange for political support, the dictator is selling our country to Russia, piece by piece. He allowed Russia to deploy its nuclear weapon and troops on our territory. They erase our national identity, language, and destroy our civil society. Russia doesn't see neither Ukraine nor Belarus as independent countries. For Russia, we're just colonies that must be returned. And it tries to revive empire by any cost. But who pays this cost? People, Belarusians and Ukrainians. Today, we mark the Holodomor Memorial Day. It reminds us about genocide that Russia created 90 years ago. Therefore, we must stand together to make sure that these horrors are never repeated. So I ask you, help us to wrest Belarus from Russian claws and bring Belarus to Europe. The European future is a necessity for us, not just an option. If Belarus is to survive as an independent country, the European Union is the only valuable solution. We Belarusians understand that Europe is not just about opportunities, it's about commitment. Our vision for Belarus is deeply aligned with the green ideas. We envision a Belarus that is not only free from dictatorship, but also a Belarus that thrives as sustainable principles. Democratic Belarus is ready to support the European Green Deal and fulfill international obligations. We already developed the program Green Belarus 2050, which includes necessary reforms and policies for future green transition. Dear friends, I know that you're already doing a lot for Belarus, but I came here with several additional practical requests. So first, endorse European aspirations of Belarusians. Belarusians want to hear from you that our future is in Europe and Europe's doors are opened for us. Europe will never be safe until Belarus is free. So your support for European future of Belarus is not a charity. It's investment in a peaceful and safe Europe. Second, support those who fight for freedom. We have resources to sustain, but we need resources to win. So I ask you to support our Belarusian media, civil society, and political prisoners. Third, keep Belarus on the agenda. Make Belarus an integral part of the election program for the European Parliament. By doing this, you show your commitment to democracy, not just within the European Union, but wherever it is threatened. Fourth, help us to bring Lukashenko's regime to account for crimes against humanity, for abduction of Ukrainian children, for complicity in Russian criminal war. There is no better place to discuss it than here, in Karlsruhe, in the heart of German constitutionalism and justice. Fifth, expand sanctions on the Lukashenko's regime. Sanctions are not the silver bullet, but a message to dictators that their crimes will not be tolerated. And finally, let's help Ukraine to win this war. Let's help Ukraine to win this war. Victory of Ukraine will be the ultimate defeat of Putin and Lukashenko. And many Belarusians fight for Ukrainian freedom as we speak. Many of them gave their lives for it, because we understand that it is not just their war, it is our common fight for freedom. Dear friends, as the fall of the Berlin Wall has shown, dictatorship collapses fast and when no one expects it. So help us not only bring these changes closer, but also prepare for them. With your support, the dream of sovereign, democratic, and European Belarus will become a reality. Together, we can build a Europe that is more robust, sustainable, and united than ever. And the road ahead may be long still, but with allies like German Greens, I'm confident that we can make our dreams true. So, my dear Greens, thank you for standing with Belarus, and thank you for championing our European dream. Long live Europe, long live Belarus.